In late 2017, I had a dream. It started in a classroom. I was chilling with my boy Steffi, and there was this Nerf basketball hoop sticking onto the whiteboard, and we were shooting paper airplanes into it when suddenly an air raid siren goes off. The teacher corralled us out of the classroom and into a parking lot into this black SUV, and we started down the freeway when suddenly we come under attack. There's choppers and jets just strafing right into us, and RPGs landing all around us. The explosions and fire everywhere. The endless clink, clink, clink of bullets tearing into our vehicle. The teacher's freaking out, screaming at the top of her lungs, "Ah! Ah! Ah!" And in this dream, I have the presence of mind to say to myself, typical Call of Duty, just completely over-the-top nonsense. We would never actually survive this. It's every absurd, interactive Michael Bay cutscene you've ever seen in COD. Specifically, my subconscious is drawing from the Black Ops 2 reveal trailer, where they show you that LA freeway chase scene with the Madam President Clinton knockoff, and then as I'm putting this together, boom! A nuke goes off. Everything is enveloped in a bright flash. All the noise stops. And when I come to, the SUV is overturned beneath the freeway overpass. Debris is littered everywhere, and I crawl out from this SUV, and there's water trickling down from broken pipes, and it reaches my shins as I stand up. And I'm groggy and confused and alone. It's quiet except for the crackle of distant fires. Visually, the experience was akin to the opening of the second mission in the first Halo, or the second mission in Halo 2. But what it felt like, and I remember this part so viscerally, was like when you first exit the cave in Skyrim, or the vault in Fallout. It was the distinct feeling like the tutorial was over. The on-rails interactive cutscene part of the game was over. I was in control now to direct the trajectory of my own gameplay experience. It felt like the beginning, the start of something, like out there just beyond my senses was a whole world of adventure, mystery, and questing waiting to be discovered. Which was strange, because in my waking life it felt like the exact opposite. It felt like the end. Game over. I had lost everything. My love, my home. I had no friends, no money. I was running on empty and not sure what to do next, or even if I wanted to do anything next. But the dream was vivid, and I thought about it all that day. The nuke was the breakup. I knew that as soon as I woke, but it was that experience afterwards that struck me most, because it was an intense and clear feeling, and yet so at odds with how I perceived my real-world situation. It gave me this sense of hope, like my subconscious was reaching out to tell me that all was not as it seemed. The next day, paradise burned. 15 minutes down the hill, I woke to a world enveloped in apocalyptic black smoke. I tried to walk to Starbucks. It was closed due to hazardous conditions, and I nearly passed out on the walk back. When I got home and looked in the mirror, my face was purple. My hometown had assumed the same role in reality as it had in my mind. Nothing but the desolate aftermath of disaster. This was a dead place, and it was making me sick, which was true even before the fire hit. So fuck it, I'm out, making my escape on a bus and out of the Bay Area. I'm too broke to afford a car. I'm crammed in with a bunch of bumpkins, hobos, and ex-cons, also too broke to afford cars. All of us coughing and hacking as the bus trudged through landscapes where the smoke had blotted out the sun and ash snowed and coated the earth all around us. So I'm in the Bay now. Here I can forget everything that ever happened to me in that sick shithole. Don't have to be reminded of everything anytime I walk down the street. Fresh sights, sounds, smells, peace. Time to nurse my wounds, take a deep breath, and get better. Except I don't. It's not working. I'm lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling for entire days at a time. I'm not eating. My mind won't stop fixating on the darkest subjects you can imagine, and it won't stop even if I watch a show. Even when I jerk off, it's like a projector showing nothing but the void has been put on loop in my fucking skull, and someone has taped my eyelids open. My despair is matched only by my anger. At nature, at God himself, that he thinks I'll stand for this. My defiance, my resolve to win. I will not be done in so young. Life isn't fair. Well, life, you will meet someone who plays dirtier than you do. I will match the indifference of the universe with my own ruthlessness. Whatever must be done to get better, to purge this disease, which has plagued me now for so long, I will take, consume, screw over, and destroy anything necessary to break free. I conclude the problem is repressed emotions. I figure this out reading up on my symptoms. It's some fucking self-made self-help guy on the internet who I usually hate, but he knows all my symptoms to a T. And then he writes, locate your sadness. Is it grief in your heart? And it must be, because I start bawling when I read the line, and I'm just sitting there muttering to myself, grief in my heart, grief in my heart. I've cried maybe twice in the last 5 years, but that night I bawled like a baby for a good hour or two. And afterwards I'm tired. So tired, too tired. It was a release, but this nasty, painful one, and will it fix me, or have I just completely lost my damn mind at this point? Just a rapidly destabilizing fucking fool. A turd circling the drain. Was it a win or just a sign that defeat draws near, and I drift off, feeling bleak and pondering these things? And that night, I have my second Call of Duty dream. Visually, I experienced this dream through the fuzzy green infrared of a Predator missile, but I've taken on characteristics of other killstreak rewards also. I'm blasting salvos of mini-rockets in every direction as if I were a Hellstorm. I am flying with complete directional control as if I were a hunter-killer drone. I am zipping through infamous COD maps like Nuketown and Hijacked, but at some point I'm maneuvering in the Death Star exhaust port from Return of the Jedi. All throughout, I am absolutely obliterating everything, volley upon volley of my rockets detonating in concentric rings of fiery explosions in every direction, and at the top of my screen comes that green digitized MW2 text, 5 kill streak, 10 kill streak, 25 kill streak, and I see the tactical nuke symbol, and I'm thrilled. I have that sense that I am playing the game exceptionally well, and I wait. And as I lie there that morning, I finally feel better, at peace, calm. Like for the first time in a long time, I can organize my thoughts and look to the future with optimism and hope. I was and remain convinced. The dream had been some sort of metaphor for what was taking place in my mind as I slept that night, that my subconscious viewed digging down into the recesses of myself to confront my pain and sorrow as the equivalent of an incredible Call of Duty kill streak. A masterful play, and so began the long, brutal process of accessing my repressed emotions, which, viewer, we will discuss in a future video. For now, suffice it to say I did get better, and a year later things were swell. I'm in my own pad, I'm door dashing, I'm bartending, I'm working with my old man at the theater he owns. I could make a future here, good old-fashioned regular dude kind of future, make a living at the theater, move up, learn the trade. I'm thinking maybe it's time to leave YouTube behind. I'm tired of it, I'm tired of busting ass and having nothing to show for it. I'm tired of putting weeks of work into a video only to get 20,000 views. I'm tired of the haters, I'm tired of feeling like a joke in the real world and not fitting in. I'm tired of being broke and my mom always beating up on me. I'm tired of having to spill my guts out just to make a butt. Yeah, being a regular guy would be nice. I have this idea for a big-ass video comparing every detail of gaming to the real world and why so many people prefer the former, but that shit is going to be a bitch and I barely care anymore about this bullshit. Maybe I'll just make a farewell video instead. I'm thinking about all this stuff as I browsed Reddit one night, scrolling through the R contagious laughter, which leads me to R hold my Cosmo, which eventually leads me to the R disappointed parents subreddit, which you think is going to be bad report cards and trashy pregnancies, fender benders, shit like that. But instead, the whole damn subreddit is pictures of despondent-looking parents standing next to their kids in furry outfits. You know, furries, that increasingly common lifestyle choice and sexual kink in which an individual feels their truest self while dressed up as some kind of furry animal. Well, this is all a source of much amusement to me, and I chuckle late into the night until I finally slip into sleep, at which point I have perhaps the most important dream of my life. In it, I am a furry, wearing a large pink bunny suit. I'm on a school bus headed towards some undefined location. Around me are stony-faced passengers, practically mannequins, dressed in business suits. I am crying softly and whimpering to myself. Suddenly, the bus comes to a screeching halt. Someone kicks in the door. It is another me, wearing dark green army fatigues with an unbuttoned shirt and a backwards cap. This new me walks hurriedly down the aisle. Army fatigue me grabs furry suit me by the collar and shakes me violently. He slaps me across the face. Holding furry me up by the collar, our faces an inch apart, army fatigue me's eyes wide and desperate. I can see the blue of my own irises, a look of alarm on my face. The stony-faced mannequins around me seem not to notice any of this. Army fatigue me looks at furry me and he shouts, "We've got to get to the payload!" Me grabs me by the hand and yanks me out of the school bus. I'm pulling furry me down the streets in some generic city, and at this point I'm overwhelmed by a very specific sensation that I immediately recognize. I've felt it plenty before in almost every game I've played. It's that urgent will to the objective. In this particular dream, I'm associating it most closely with Overwatch. You know that urgent feeling when you've respawned and you're hauling ass back to the objective using any ability at your disposal? Winston jumps, Reaper tellies, shooting at your feet with Zarya, anything to move even just a second faster. It's that feeling in COD when you're in a close match of Dom and both teams are fighting viciously for B flag, and every time you spawn, you are instinctively lurching towards that flag, in that direction, or a planted bomb in demolition, or a hotly contested hardpoint. And even when you are in a gunfight or preoccupied with some other task, in the back of your head, you have that objective. You are visualizing its location and the path necessary to get to it. And that is where you need to be when you are done with whatever it is in your way. That objective is the most important thing, and even when you aren't looking at it, you are aware of it. It's that excitement, even if you aren't in the action, your heart racing just by the act of moving towards it. When you want an objective so bad you can feel its existence, even when you're just waiting to respond. Tracking its status, who's in control of it, its timers, how damaged it is. This is what I'm experiencing as Army Fatigue me sprints down the streets, dragging furry me by the hand. And then I wake. Dream interpretation is a messy business, and you can never be quite certain what a dream means, if anything at all. But I tend to think the initial interpretation, as soon as you wake, is the right one. You are, after all, in theory, communicating with your gut instinct. Well, that morning, I saw the bus's conformity. The furry suit implying I was conforming for the wrong reasons, and the objective towards which Army Fatigues me pulled me was something about video games. So powerfully and clearly did I associate it with video game objectives. So I took it to mean that I was making a mistake by not completing some as yet undefined YouTube related objective. I thought long and hard that morning and resolved to at least finish this one last video that I had bouncing around in my head for a while, after which I could reassess what I wanted to do. And so I began work on that why everyone is quitting their jobs to play COD commentary. While writing it, I would discover myself, laugh, cry, writing about life, seeing it more objectively, learning to accept myself. It would take a great deal longer to finish than I had originally anticipated, nearly a year, and during that time COVID hit. The theater closed and remained so. Any of the normal jobs I might have qualified for were wiped out. Among the jobs that weren't are epidemics of burnout and loneliness and suicide. Everyone is switching to remote work, struggling to adapt, while the news talks about how it's the way of the future. Call it luck. I had nearly been shamed into going down with the Titanic. The video does well. I get the reaction I was looking for. Other people with the same kind of pain, other people feeling better. And now me, feeling that sense of purpose and satisfaction that can only be derived from the pleasure of fighting for your fellow man. I shudder to think I ever thought of giving this up. On some subconscious level, did I already know this is how it would play out? Freud described dreams as the royal road to the unconscious. Carl Jung thought they were messages to the dreamer from the subconscious and that the dreamer should listen for their own good. A 2009 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that over half of Americans felt their dream content provided them with meaningful insight into their unconscious beliefs and desires. All that said, researchers remain starkly divided on the significance, if any, of dreams and what causes their specific manifestations. It is a field where there are still many more questions than answers. Perhaps video games can help us to solve some of these riddles. Many researchers, even Freud himself, sought to understand dreams through the translation of common symbols or situations. This can be difficult, for what exactly does it mean when I boil Chucky the doll in a vat of oil? Video games can help specify, narrow down our interpretations because the controlled in-game environments offer a greater degree of specificity. When I emerge from a tutorial, when I pursue an objective, I know what these things mean because I've done them over and over and over again. And I know what I felt when I did them. I know exactly what I felt. At the very least, perhaps our games can help players better understand their dreams, and thus themselves. What isn't controversial among researchers is that the subconscious mind is more powerful than we consciously realize. It understands things we do not, and predicts things that we can't. Thus, if you ever feel your dreams are trying to tell you something, you'd be wise to listen. The For the Win query of the day is, what is the craziest video game dream you've ever had? Thanks for watching. This is Batman, signing out.